Hello guys. We're back. Welcome back to my channel. So happy you guys to see you back here, and I hope you're having a wonderful week despite all the hoorah that's been happening. As you can see, I'm going to be drawing with some color pencils here, and also I'm going to be pulling out some bits of oil pastels as well later on in the drawing. So here in the drawing room, I'm going to be doing like an interesting fantasy character, original character that I'm creating for my series, and I'll talk to you about that later. Meanwhile, while I'm drawing this amazing character, as you can see the title of the video, what I want to talk about is the crucial importance of becoming a hybrid traditional and digital artist for today, for right now, for the 21st century, for going into the next year, 2021. And why is that important? How did that become a subject of importance? And I don't know, what do we think of that? What are our opinions on that as artists? And I just felt that we could just open up dialogue here and just talk about that at length. So I've never been a modern day art enthusiast, or to tell you the truth, ever wanted to do any modern type of pop art or abstract, or what a lot of the younger artists were usually they do in university or whatnot. I've always been strongly attracted to the classics. I've always been strongly attracted to that of the Renaissance, of the Renaissance, 17th century, of Rembrandt, Father of Light, Dutch painters, Flemish painters, going into the 19th century of the Pre-Raphaelite movement. Those works, the painters there, they were just masters, and what they were able to do with the figure in rendering form was absolutely mind-blowing. And that's who I looked up to. That's who I actually I wanted to paint like. I wanted to really just allow to myself to build on this very strong foundational technique of those master painters, and to build and to be really, really good at it. Just do it without even thinking about it. And coming across this one painter, Odd Nerdrum, who was from Norway, who actually he defied the rules of. He was a young student back in the 1960s in Norway, and where the pop art movement was just like all the rage. And he, I believe he was actually I think he was thrown out of art school at the time to pursue studies of the classics, and because he was so deeply inspired by Rembrandt and a lot of the Flemish painters. That said, so the professors, my teachers that would always teach me in class about how they're just locked into this idealism of, how it's just, look, you're here for a purpose, and that's for you to be kind of spread thin, not here to know about, to be an atelier artist, because we don't have time for that. You don't have time to sit here for, to really paint a figure. Yes, they were figurative art classes for painting and for drawing from the beginning classes all the way up to the advanced level. But at the same time, if you really if you want to be able to paint and draw the human figure anatomically correct, you would think that the professors, or like the body, the faculty would actually come together and make the decision, hey, you know what, we really need just a regulated time, where of a longer time, not so much regulated, where like the students can really delve in at an advanced level to really take the time and to really investigate and becoming, if you want to paint the human body, if you want to know what the figure is, to really do that and do it very well. So, no. The state universities and all of these like conceptual art idealist schools were teaching, no, you're not here to do that. We're not about that. If you want to do the atelier approach, you go on the other side of the tracks. Also, at the same time, you had this like looking down upon artists who or people who were like comic book artists, game developers, animation artists, whatnot. And I will tell you that were seldom even spoken about. And I tell you, you better not dare come into class with a anime or a magma sketch drawing, talking about Miyazaki's films or whatnot, or even Thomas Kincaid was looked down upon, and just any type of Marvel, any type of comic book or graphic novel art, character art design. Absolutely not allowed. They weren't interested, and you better not come in there with it, because if you come there with a art of a magma or an anime drawing of some character sketches, you're just going to be completely embarrassed, humiliated, and blasted out of there, which is really unfortunate. Which brings us to why we're talking about this. Part of the reason why we're talking about this conflict, this separation, this dichotomy of how traditional artists look down upon digital artists, and just vice versa, or not so much of the digital artists looking. I will tell you the truth that I have not met or seen any digital artists looking down upon traditional artists. If anything, I've seen, or I've known digital artists who are mass amount of artists that are on ArtStation that has a deeper understanding and an experience with figurative anatomy, meaning that they were trained in an atelier, and they actually made the decision to spread their wings and to be both digital and traditional. So, in that sense, you have these digital artists some digital artists who come from a background of fine learning, of atelier understanding, and the deep knowledge and their methodology and technique of the classics, of the environmental landscape, the figurative anatomical human body, and knowing how to just really have the amazing control over their composition and their paintings and drawings. But at the same time, you have some traditional artists who have that, but they are completely unwilling to pick up a stylus and to go digital. And why wouldn't they? Well, why wouldn't they? But then why did this other particular group of traditional artists decide to go to digital art as well as do traditional art? And I think that is the wisest choice. Well, I'm going to actually talk to you about some things where I really believe, strongly that being a 21st century artist and what that entails of you being, both a digital and traditional artist, just what it benefits. There's tons of benefits from that. Not only does it allow you, if you are just a traditional artist and you branch out to becoming a digital artist as well, learning, Procreate, Photoshop, or whichever, or Corel, whichever program you decide to use, and you go with that and you just build on that. And I will tell you, I've been traditionally painting and drawing for a couple decades now, but I will tell you, it wasn't until last spring that I finally started getting into digital art. And I finally, because I will tell you, I was this artist that I looked down upon digital art. I looked down upon the squashy comic animation characters and the gaming characters, and I've said out of my breath, oh, that's not real art. Oh my goodness, I wouldn't even waste my time, and blah 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 blah. Well, times have changed. The world has changed. The world is not the way it was 20 years ago. Where social media is definitely a place now, where it's. I'm going to say this, and I know this is going to sound controversial to some people, but in a way, it is replacing most of this whole conventional way of how a lot of artists back in the day would think that the only way for people to see my art is through a brick and mortar gallery. And social media, for the most part, a lot of social media platforms have replaced that. It's we're in an age where artists are actually, we are our own boss. We can sell our own prints. We can sell our own original paintings. We do not have to go through a mediator, a gallery owner, a curator and we only get they get 15%, and we get, oh my gosh, the remaining amount is just horrible. That's just very conventional in thinking, and I know a lot of artists who are just doing that, and that's it, and they're waiting for their broker or the curator or the gallery owner to call them and tell them, hey, who got piece. That's I can't even imagine. And I was in that particular situation where I was just, I guess this is the only way. But it wasn't until I finally this back in just recently that a light just went off in my head and saying, hey, I can do far much more with this. I can really diversify my art here, the avenues of marketing myself as an artist. I would just be a completely foolish girl. I have to sit around and just wait for the gallery curator to call me oh yeah, we're interested, and I'm oh my gosh. And it wasn't until for the past several months, 7-8 months, I've been researching and just knowing, coming to terms wow, the things that I can do by just merging both of these worlds of art together, and just becoming just maturing into a likable artist from different niches of particular people who dark fantasy character design, traditional, classic, figurative. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I just find that to be quite amazing. Now, and also on the other side of the coin of that, of the digital artists, like kids, and or just younger artists who are like, maybe if you're going through, like, if you just started coming into, like, drawing sketches of like magma characters, or I hope I'm saying that right. I'm a MAGA character. I'm saying MAGA, yeah, MAGA and anime. And you've been doing that for about maybe 6 months to maybe a couple of years. You're in your second or third year of just really getting into those characters. I think that's completely, totally awesome, because I used to be I still am. I went through this really big anime phase, and I still love Miyazaki work. I'm a very big fan of Miyazaki. Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, Araretti. I just love his storytelling, love his characters. However, at the same time, I will say this, that I think a lot of people who are such large, amazing, big fans of anime, or just maybe even like Marvel comic, or just squashy kind of animated characters that are not, maybe say, realistic, but they're kind of like very kid friendly, like like Plants vs. Zombie, that sort of thing. If you're a gamer, you're into that. And I think it's fine. I think it's great that you're into that type of style and that you're doing that. But I find it that it's very important to be able, if you're going to want to work at, be a freelance artist, and want to work at different gaming companies, or film production companies, or even like sell like your own like merch, what have you. I do think that you are going to benefit greatly as not only doing the squashy little cutesy, kid-friendly animation, or just like anime, but then also taking classes through like Adobe or Skillshare. That's good if you to really know how to tackle the anatomy of the figurative rendered form, because it really will allow you to soar to so many places and just become this really amazing, all-rounded, varied artist. That I think a lot of people will just really just appreciate. But plus it just kind of really just opens you up to and broadens your horizons. It really does broaden your horizons. And I'm not saying that you have to if you're just starting off and doing art, anime, and just whatever characters that you're developing on your own, or I'm not saying you have to get into this right now. No, I think you grow into that, but I don't think you should ever completely shut that idea off of doing that type of art as well, being open. I just want to just kind of wrap this up with a story that happened back in the 90s it actually started in the 90s, but then it didn't end quite so well in the early aughts, and that was the Disney had lead animators in the 90s, which we all know what that era was. It's the Disney Renaissance animation, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Pocahontas, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Lion King, and etc. That was if you were a kid during that era, if you were a teenager, watching those films, the phenomenal, brilliant films that were coming out of that era. Even The Prince of Egypt, that was DreamWorks that did that. But you know what I'm talking about. You know, in Don Bluth's films, that was a pure, beautiful Renaissance era. And then when the early aughts rolled around, things, that era of like traditional film just really started to kind of like slow down. And I will tell you, like, lead animators that worked at Disney at the time, who, like Glenn King, he actually did Beast, the character from Beauty and the Beast. Andre Deja, you know, there's some other ones I can't really think of right now, but those are the really big ones. The Glenn King was the giant. He was the giant over at Disney Film. And when it came around to the early aughts, the traditional film, the Disney Renaissance started to slow down. And when Disney animation started to slow down, traditional animation, Pixar started to speed up, and that was Pixar just gained ground. And Lasseter, just took off after Toy Story. He just da 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 da. And I will tell you, in 2010, when Glenn King actually, his last film that he worked on, which was Rapunzel, was Tangled. He actually was the lead animator in that film, and he actually did Rapunzel. And I will tell you that he was one of the ones that actually came to work on the film, because Lasseter asked him if he could work on Rapunzel, and he did. But the other animators that were working traditionally over at the Disney Animation Studio did not come. And they pretty much said, nope, we're done. We're not interested in this type of work. We're not interested in transitioning to digital animation. We're definitely not interested into all the squashy, buckling characters. I mean, we are figurative animators. I mean, just classical to the form. But Glenn King did work on Rapunzel. But after Rapunzel, Lasseter asked him, hey, do you want to stay with us? Come join our Pixar family. You know, how Lasseter would actually say that. And Glenn King's like, you know, if anyone, if you've seen Rapunzel, it's digital. Glenn King's like, nope, I'm finished. This is my last film at Disney. I will no longer be working here. And he retired. And to me, you know, that story, I mean, what happened with those giant, brilliant, talented, traditional artists that worked for Disney during the Disney Renaissance, and how it was just like, if you look, it was just like a 10 to 12 year scope, and then it was done. It was really sad that they just they eliminated themselves, like, no, we're not interested. They cut themselves off, they retired. And then Glenn King went on, and, you know, I think Glenn King's actually doing more independent work on his own. But, you know, they're either teaching or, I don't know, doing seminars or taking private classes, I don't know. But I find it very sad that these traditional artists, just like I've been talking about, how they completely took their nose and just looked their nose down at digital art, and they did not see the great potential of what they could become as wide, varied artists, and what that digital, you know, art of animation could do for them. So, wrapping that up. I hope to see you guys. I hope this actually has just been like a real just conversation starting for you, with your other art friends, and tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Where do you think we're heading towards artists? You know, do you think it's important to diversify yourself as a traditional versus an digital artist, and amalgamate the two? How that is important to you? Your personal opinion. Do you think we choose a side and stick with it? I don't know. I would love to hear what your perspective and your opinions on that. I look forward to seeing you next time, guys. Please subscribe, push the notification button, and like this video. I thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.